outside is not that cold, and if you take my hand, I'll walk with you to Georgia.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Country with Celine. I'm your host, Celine. Now on today's show, we have the lead singer from a popular Canadian country band that you definitely know. Please welcome Ty Hunter from the Hunter Brothers.
Red dirt, white church, blue collar, still running through my veins. I was born small town, deep roots, mud on these boots. I wouldn't change a thing. It's how I was born and raised.
Ty, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me, Celine. This is awesome to be catching up. We hung out at the CCMAs very briefly, so it's good to catch up with you again.
I was just going to mention that the last time I saw you was the CCMAs. I think that was in September, if I'm not mistaken. I could probably be wrong. I'm bad with dates. But anyways, regardless, it's been a while, or been a minute. I think I used that pun the last time that we chatted as well. Now, Hunter, before we dive into new music and everything, I know you. I'm sure lots of Canadians know you guys, and even in the States. But for most of my Nashville-based people, or anywhere pretty much in the States, let's talk about you a little bit more. So where exactly did you grow up?
So I grew up in a little town called Shaunavon, Saskatchewan, which is where I'm actually at right now as we're speaking. So born and raised here, and never actually moved away. And so it's a little town of 1,800 people, little farming community, and absolutely love it and love the people here.
Now, the Hunter Brothers. How did the Hunter Brothers come together? Now, folks, the Hunter Brothers are actually all brothers.
Yeah, I mean, so that kind of sealed the deal right there. Everybody grew up in the same house. But actually, I was just talking to somebody recently. My grandfather was self-taught in 6 different instruments, and so there was music on that side. And then our mom put us in piano right as kids when we were growing up. And so we all started on the piano, and then kind of branched off into different instruments. And everybody actually chose different instruments. Nobody had to arm wrestle over it. And it was kind of interesting because everybody wound up with a different vocal register as well. So when it came to singing harmony, everybody kind of was stacked on top of each other in terms of different parts. And so that worked out really naturally as well. And so then the band ended up forming, and the music side of it, when it comes to the harmonies, were there because we grew up singing gospel music. And so my mom was pregnant with me in a video where she's singing on stage with the rest of the family. And so that would have been like 30 years ago. I'm 29 now. And so it's been transpiring for a long time. Just went through different phases and with different genre shifts until we wound up in country.
And now, how is it to keep your personal life, since you guys are all brothers, from your professional life? Because I'm sure you guys bicker at times. You guys are all brothers. But how do you separate the two?
Oh man, well, I mean, our lives are quite public. So a lot of what you see online is pretty much what you get, to be honest. I mean, there's always differences of opinion. There's always little things that seem to change, and life has a way of going through its ebbs and flows. And so those are maybe some of the things that are unseen in terms of the way our families operate, or how they exist together, how we operate on a day-to-day basis. We do share a good portion of that though. So like I said, what you see is pretty much what you get.
I feel like that should be another song of yours. What you see is what you get.
There you go. I'll put you in as a co-writer.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Now let's jump into your latest release. So Peace, Love, and Country Music. So let's talk about how this single came to be. And also, was there any influence by Ronnie Dunn's song? Just out of curiosity on that one.
No, actually, there wasn't. The way that it kind of happened, actually, there was a lot of energy around that, right? There's just certain days where you wake up and you know that something good is going to happen. That was one of those days. And so I walked into the writing room with our producer on Zoom. He was on Zoom, Seth Mosley, and another writer that we like, James McNair. And we ended up talking about just the tumultuous season that it seems we've all walked through, and also how there can tend to be, whether it's differences of opinion or perspective, and how that can so easily divide people. So we were just kind of talking about what are things that we can rally around as human beings that at the end of the day ground us and keep us connected to each other. And so this concept of, peace, love, and country music came out and about. And it was a different way of saying kind of what the Hunter brothers are really about at the end of the day, kind of that faith, family, country music mantra. But we wanted to say it differently. And so this is kind of a way to establish that.
I'm talking about peace, love, and country music. Yeah, we all need some to get us through it. We'd be a whole lot better of a place, better by the day, better every way, with a little more peace, love, and country music.
Kind of just reframe it, but also speak to a narrative that we're hopeful will be kind of a reality for people moving forward instead of vision.
Well, peace, love, and country music is what we can all use, especially during the 2 years that we kind of went through. I mean, we've seen lots of division within society. There's been lots of ups and downs, but something that we can all grasp on and just hold on to and listen now is peace, love, and country music. And now following up with that, is there a music video that's coming out?
There is a music video coming out, and it was a little bit insane because there were 70-kilometer winds that day. So we had to completely shift the entire set and had to do it before sundown. And so it took some wild turns. It's probably not going to fully end up exactly what was planned or mapped out, but welcome to the Hunter brothers' career and the last 2 years of life. So yes, there is a video coming out, and new music is going to be on the heels of it as well.
Yes, you were getting to my next point. Is there an upcoming project? Because we saw your latest release back in 2021. Now it's 2022, new year. You dropped this single. So what else is happening? Is there a new album that's going to be coming out by the end of the year, early next year? Another single? What's going on with that?
Well, we had the opportunity to release another song called All Night, which was before Peace, Love, and Country Music, not a single. It was kind of bizarre because we had it was a write that came together very quickly, and then somehow somebody from the NHL heard the demo and they said, well, we want to use this for Hockey Night in Canada. And so we quickly had to hop in the studio and get this song recorded and pumped out as quick as possible. And they ended up using it a few weeks ago, which was super cool because we wanted to write kind of like a country rock hockey anthem, just being that we all grew up playing hockey. And so that was kind of a bucket list item to check off. And so that was kind of cool because it had its own moment.
And we just might stay here all night, and we just might burn out. Those lights gonna blow off the roof and howl at the moon, and we just might stay here all night.
And then Peace, Love, Country Music is the lead-off single, just because we feel that it's a message that we want to communicate in this next chapter. We want everything to be something that flows from that place. But then it's really interesting because we have a lot of other songs that we've either recorded or have been working towards, and they all kind of tell their own story, a chapter of the narrative. And I think what's cool about this season in music is in the past when you would release an album, it just felt like a lot of the songs maybe were missed, like not that people weren't listening to them, but you have your singles and you have ones that have key moments. But I think moving forward, what we wanted to learn from the past is how do we release songs so that people are going to be able to hear them in phases and be able to live with them for a little bit, which is what a lot of people are doing now. And so instead of releasing a whole project or body of music, taking things in chapters and releasing them progressively over the course of the year, and then obviously releasing them as a total body of work. So I think that's how this one is panning out. It's a little different. We don't have all of the songs completed, but we're working towards that project. And as the songs come and as pieces of the chapters come together, then you move that into a full body of work later. So that is the plan. Right now we're just focusing on kind of each song as its chapter.
That's a really smart way to go, because as a listener, I can vouch for what you just said. And I listen to albums, but I'm mostly listening to the singles on the albums. And then the other songs,
Yeah.
whether I like it or not, they kind of trickle down the list. And I don't really get to listening to them as much as the artist would want. So that's a very smart way of how you're going to be releasing the next couple songs. And I'm so very interested to hearing them. And I'm sure lots of your fans are as well. And now that promo, I was going to mention that. That's absolutely insane. A good old Canadian country band, Canadian boys, I should say, releasing a song that's a promo for round one of the Calgary Flames and the Dallas Stars. That's absolutely surreal, and that is definitely a bucket list moment.
Yeah, it really was, for sure. I mean, JJ played exhibition games with the Edmonton Oilers, so he was part of that organization. And so I think the fact that he has those ties to the NHL, I mean, it's funny because a lot of kids in this area dream of being a hockey player. And then it's funny because a lot of hockey players dream of playing in a rock band. It's funny that you actually like see those things come around, or not necessarily a rock band, but just kind of like this idea that there's kind of this chain of dreams that happens. And so it's kind of cool because when I look at somebody like JJ, he did that exact cycle where he went from growing up in a small town, Shaunavon, Saskatchewan, to playing hockey and with exhibition games with the Oilers, and then forming a band with his brothers. And I mean, everybody did that to a degree because everybody played hockey and everybody's done music. So one of the goals was from a lot of guys was to travel to a lot of the same arenas that they'd played hockey in, but to do that with an instrument or a mic in their hands rather than a hockey stick. So it's kind of cool to have multiple lives feel like they've been lived in a very short time frame.
That's awesome. I didn't even think about doing that, going to the different arenas and performing there. Since the NHL didn't work out, that's such a smart type of, not backup plan, but you know what I mean? Like to kind of check that off of the bucket list, so you actually performed in that arena, just like you said, not playing hockey, but playing in a band. But that's true. Lots of people in that industry, like the sports world, mainly hockey, want to dabble in the country music scene or like the rock or just the music scene in general. Like we've seen with the big one, like Chad Brownlee. Like, I mean, there's quite a number of people out there that have dabbled in it. I mean, hey, if it works, it works. And that's amazing that you get to experience like a double life at the same time, you know?
Yeah, well, and I think the interesting part about it was people took the hockey basically as far as they could, and then everybody sustained an injury of sorts. And so you look at JJ, who separated his shoulder. Luke and Dusty had significant eye injuries. Brock had multiple concussions. I broke my femur in between seasons. And so we all kind of had something that led us back to the family farm and then brought us into this, pursuit of music together. And so life has a way of doing that, like it may sound mundane, but one door closes and another one opens. And that's how life works. You got to walk through the next door that presents itself, or sometimes you got to go out and find it and make it happen. I was just saying to somebody too today that in an artist's career, you have kind of the tip of the iceberg that people see. But then there is that whole network of hard work that's been underneath the surface, that's been building for like 20 years up to that point, the story, the hard work, everything. And so it's interesting where life takes you and how that all ends up panning out.
Hey, everything happens for a reason. I strongly believe in that. There's a reason for everything. And like you said, one door closes, another one opens. And there is a ton of work that goes on behind the scenes of being an artist. But that just goes for every industry too, whether you want to make it I don't know, doctor, lawyer, whatever it may be on Sportsnet. There's so much networking, so much like work goes into your craft that nobody gets to see because they just see the tip of the iceberg, like you were saying. So it's nice for people to hear instead of just think, oh yeah, they have it all. But it's like, no, I worked my butt off to get to where I am, and I'm still working my butt off. And you guys still working your asses off, excuse my French, this summer. You guys have a ton of performances coming up. Like you're performing at Cavendish Beach Music Festival, Big Valley Jamboree, Country on the Bay. There's more than just that. So how exciting is that? Finally, a good year to be back at festivals again.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like I am So excited. I can't really express how excited I am to be on stage again. We've been running rehearsals the last while. In fact, that's where I'm going shortly after we're wrapped here. And it's just felt amazing to be performing live music, period, again. And I think everybody is so ready. So I think the moments when we're all coming together and finally get to experience that again is going to be, these are going to be moments that I don't think we're ever going to forget, coming out of a season that has been as challenging as it has. I think that whether you're on stage, whether you're just, you know, in the building or on the grounds, or somebody who's listening, or it's just that environment that comes together between the magic that happens between fans and artists, I think is just going to be amplified more than it ever has been.
Oh, 100%. You are right. And country music is a family too. So, I mean, I've never seen one unhappy person at a country music show. Never. Everybody is so happy. They're so well, to me, of course, but they're so friendly. Everybody has just a drink in their hand and they're just loving the country music. And that's what's going to be so exciting. I'm so personally excited. I could fangirl myself because I'm excited that concerts are back, festivals are back, and you guys get to go perform on stage. So I'm sure you guys are going to kill it this year, and I'm so excited to hear the new music that you have up your sleeve. I'm sure many others are very excited as well. And I just want to thank you again, Ty, for taking the time to chat with me on Country with Celine today. It was such a pleasure to chat and catch up, and I'll talk to you soon. Hopefully I see you at a festival.
Absolutely. Come on out to any one of them. There's a lot of options this summer. So hopefully we see you very soon. And thank you so much for your time and all the work that you put into elevating artists and country music artists. We really appreciate it.
Fruit on the vine, someday I'm gonna rise, someday I'm